Hi YouTube, how are you? Hope you all fine. Today I want to talk about category of watch movement, and it is a very basic thing that we have to do when we buy watch. I've been collecting watch, just starting my collection around 4 or 5 months ago, and in the short of this kind of time it's grows so quickly, so be careful with your new hobby, right? Okay, let's start. Before we start, I have to mention that for the movement itself, we can watch movement, we can categorize it for in three major category. One is the quartz movement, usually called battery, using a battery. And then second is the mechanical watch. It is no battery involved inside it. And then the third one is the kinetic watch. So here in front of you, I present you four kind of watch that I have here, all from Seiko, and I'm very fan of Seiko. It's crazy for Seiko, but I only specialize collecting in the military field watches. That is something that I love most. Okay, right one here. This is the quartz one. Okay, we will talk about it later. And then this one is also quartz, but it have some little feature that called perpetual calendar. Okay, and then this one here, this is the automatic watch. Okay, and then the last one that we have here, it is called the kinetic watch. Okay, let's start from the first one here. This one is the quartz movement that usually people say a battery watch. So for the movement, to move the gear and to move the second hand here, it using a battery that came from the quartz vibration. So what it does is the battery from a circuit send a electronic pulse to the quartz that shape like very unique shape like, and then the quartz will vibrate, and this vibration will be picked by some detector in the circuit and then converts to a pulse, which is a one pulse, and then this one pulse become 1 second in the watch movement. So it's quite high tech actually, and this is the one that revolutionized the watch industry back then. Okay, after we finishing introducing this movement, we will try to look at the inside of each of this movement. Okay, and then this second one here, it is also quartz watch, but it has a perpetual calendar. Okay, I try to put it here in the video just for some additional info for you, because this is something that I have. There is a lot of development in the quartz industry that we will talk about that later in another video. But for these features called the perpetual calendar, which means the calendar here, you see, it will winding itself according to the how many days in the month. Let's say 1 month you have 30 days, like February you have only 28 days. And what this watch does is it will wind until 28, and then at the March you will get the date automatically for 1. So date 1. So first date in the March. So from 28 it will directly go to the 1. So you don't have to manually wind it again like every single watch that you have, like here that we have here. So this one here will not move perpetually. So it will only move to 31. So if you have 30 as your last day in the calendar, so at the next day it will turn to 31. So you have to manually wind the crown to get the correct date for your watch. Okay, so this is a very little cool features, but very headache to set when the battery gone out and you forgot to change the battery quickly, because it's, if I'm not wrong, you only have 4 minutes when you took the battery out and then put the new battery in. If you exceed that kind of time for this Seiko here, you will have to repeat the very intricate process for that. But that is for another time to talk about. Okay, and then this one is the automatic watch. Basically, it's being the second hand being moved by some kind of coil of spring. So usually people also call it a spring drive watch. So it have a self-winding. So it's all this one is self-winding, but we have the very old one. Usually we have to manual wind from the crown, but this one here is already self-winding from your wrist movement. We can see when we open the back of this watch later. Okay, so the unique one of this is the kinetic watch. Focus. Okay, this one also quartz watch, but the unique thing is it's using a self-winding one like the automatic one, but that winding goes to provide a charging to the battery, so you will have more power reserve than the automatic one. The modern one, we can change the battery to the lithium ion, so it will have more power reserve. For this one, maybe only can last for 2 weeks, if I'm not wrong. And for lithium ion, I have a friend of mine telling that his watch can survive for 6 months without any wear. So once you charge it up enough, you will have 6 months of power reserve. So it's quite interesting. But the movement is the same with the quartz one, but the power reserve only the different for the kinetic one. There is more another kind of mechanical things that being developed, like the Seiko, Grand Seiko, that use very high-tech movement, which is that will be another story later. Okay, now let's open the back of the movement so you can see. Before I take the video, I already loosened the case back here. so it will be easy for us to see. So it's okay. So we can see it's very little tiny circuit, and this is the battery. Okay, and then there is the circuit there. You can see. Okay, I put it here so we can see clearly later. Okay, this one is almost the same like this, only some circuit is different. Okay, and this is the automatic one. Maybe this one is better to put over here. I love to use my watch in NATO strap like this because it have a bunch of choices that we can choose from color, pattern, and everything. Okay, so here let's try to open it. Okay, you can see here. So this is the self-winding things. So when you shake your hand, it will wind the coil inside, and then the coil will move this balance wheel, we call it balance wheel, that will tick the second hand, and the second hand will move the minute hand, the minute hand will move the hour hand. Okay, so this is the basic thing that happened in the mechanical watch. So in the old days, still until now, some watches don't have this kind of self-winding, so you have to wind from the crown, which I already talked about before. Okay, and the interesting one is this kinetic watch, which have a self-winding, but it powered the power reserve to charge the battery. Okay, see. Okay, so it's move, and you have two coil there. One is for the movement and one for the charging. So it's when you move your hand, it will wind, and it's also have a quite some noise. And this one is usually quiet. Okay, so this is the very basic movement in watch that we can choose from. So which one is the best for you? It's depend on you, on what kind of watch that you want. Usually quartz watch is the one that very precise in timing, and the mechanical one usually have minus or some plus in a year. It's depend on the quality of the watch. Okay guys, hope this little introduction will give you some insight about watches, and keep growing your hobby. And I love to see your comment, and subscribe if you can. And if you find this video is helpful, please share and give me a thumbs up. Thank you. See you. God bless.